Hi everyone, my name is Daniel Jangula. I'm a certified exercise physiologist working with Recreation Services, and this is another edition of Tips from the Trainer. So in today's video, I want to talk to you about the hip hinge. It's a foundational movement pattern that we see in a lot of exercises such as the deadlift and the kettlebell swing. It also translates just into proper lifting posture, which is really going to help save your back later down the line. Okay, so what's going on with the hip hinge, as the name would suggest, I'm literally just hinging at the hips. My spine is still staying in neutral position. So from when I'm standing up with good posture to when I'm at the bottom of my lift, there's no change in the shape there, right? On top of that, I'm making sure that I'm driving the movement with my glutes, with my hips, I'm lifting with my legs, and I'm not extending with my back, right? You can see I'm putting myself into a lot of hyperextension, which can put stress on your spine and lead to some injuries over time. So what I'd like to think about with this movement is, instead of just coming down and getting back up, some people find it helpful to think of it as a horizontal hip movement. Okay, so what I'm going to do to lead this movement off is I start off with really good posture, I brace my abs and everything else, and then I'm just sticking my butt back, and then to get back up, I just push my hips forward again. I get a really good glute contraction, full hip extension. So again, if I'm just thinking about what's going on in my hips, everything else is going to follow, and so that might help with one of the big movement errors that I see with a lot of people, and that's getting their movement from spinal flexion, right? All they're thinking about is just getting into that end position as opposed to what's going on in the joints or the muscle activation. So we want to get all that range of motion from the hips, not from the back there. So that's one thing that we're thinking of, and then as I mentioned earlier, making sure that we are extending from the hips and not from the lower back there. So if I demonstrate this just with a nice easy weight here, I'm going to demonstrate a straight leg deadlift. So this is probably one of the easiest regressions of the movement that you can start off to learn. For somebody that's really new to the movement, I'd probably have them pick the weight up off a platform. Usually the lower into the range of motion that you go, the more difficulty you're going to have keeping up that proper form. So somebody that's just learning this, they might be able to get down to here, things are looking good here, and then at this point they have to bend from their back, right? So we don't want to be working in that compromised spinal position. We're going to be making ourselves a little more susceptible to injuries, and we're just training improper technique. So if I did something like pick it up off a platform here, right, then it's just a little bit easier for me to reach that, right? So again, I'm coming down, my spine's neutral, I'm driving forward with the hips, I keep the weight nice and close to my body. You don't have to feel like you need to get down to the ground with each rep, okay? So if you can only get, just a few inches past your knees before things start to fall apart, you just keep to that point, okay? Again, driving up with your hips, keeping your spine neutral, and repeating. Just make sure that you're getting a nice contraction out of those glutes. Really great exercise to train the hips. It's a really great exercise to train spinal stability, and it's going to be really important for lifting technique and injury prevention, which your body will thank you for later down the line. So if you can learn the hip hinge from the basic straight leg deadlift, you can transition pretty easily into conventional deadlifts. A little bit more advanced progression of that would be a kettlebell swing, which is like a dynamic hip hinge, and there are a lot of other applications for that, but we won't be talking about any of those because we've run out of time. Thanks for tuning in.